Hey everyone, Michael here. Please make sure to subscribe if you guys haven't already. Today, guys, we have a lot to talk about. There is going to be some really big moves in the market on the good side or the bad side, not sure yet. But we are headed up for some really major levels of resistance that have been very, very hard for both Bitcoin, the NASDAQ, the SPY to all break out above them. The only thing that's been able to break out so far has actually been the Dow Jones Industrial Average. So let's talk about this right now, everybody. So right now we have Bitcoin. We've had a couple breakouts here like we talked about the other day. On the weekly chart, you can see, though, we're heading for this longer breakout point right here. This is about 14 months in the making. The last time, we've actually never tested out this level since the line was actually created here. So we don't know how strong it is yet, but usually we decide to get rejected off of these levels, unfortunately. However, there's always an opportunity here, so we have to talk about it. The problem right now, just to get the bearish stuff out of the news first, is we're looking at a death cross here between the 50-week moving average and the 200. It's just never happened before. I know we've talked about this a number of times, but really, it's never happened. We've never seen the blue line cross down below the yellow line, basically. We've seen the green line cross down below the blue. Bad time there, bad time there, bad time there, and bad time obviously here. That's happened plenty of times, but we've never actually seen what happens here between the 50 and the 200. We have seen for the first time the green line go down below the yellow line, which is the 20-week below the 200-week. But in reality, the thing that ended up really happening here that made everything so pessimistic was really an FTX scare, not really a technical scare, if you will, right? So this was kind of interesting there. So even if we do manage to break out, I caution you guys to be very, very careful of what happens when Bitcoin comes into contact, if Bitcoin comes into contact with the 200 weekly moving average and the 50-week moving average, okay? If we're able to break out above those, whoa, that's a game changer, a legitimate game changer. If we get rejected, we're still going to be in a nastier overall downtrend, but we're going to be slowing down here, which will be very, very good for a lot of you guys because altcoins should find a little bit of room to pop off even more than they already have, okay? Now, let's go back over here. The reason why this is so interesting is, again, the NASDAQ has an opportunity to break out here. This should be pretty interesting. The SPY also has an opportunity to break out. And I would actually say the SPY has a better opportunity, and I'd be looking more at the SPY at this point in time. If I get rid of this very fast, you can see on the weekly chart, we're about to hit the 50-week moving average and try to break out above this trend line. It'll be very difficult to do that. We're going to need something really good this week or next week to get us that big pump we need. Otherwise, we're going to continue to come back down, break down, and probably come back down to 375, leading Bitcoin to come back down below $20,000 again. All right? I want to make sure you guys understand that. However, when looking at the NASDAQ, I want you guys to be a little bit cautious about this because we do have this trend line, but I want to remind you guys, we had a trend line a few months ago, and what ended up happening here is if I get rid of this one, you'll see that we had an opportunity to break out like right there, and we did break out, but it was a false breakout. So be careful, okay? This one hasn't really been as nice as we want it to be. The NASDAQ's been a little bit more iffy, okay? But if we go off for this old one, you can see we're currently testing that out right now. Look at the daily chart. We're currently testing it out right now. We tried the other day, closed below it. Over here, though, we did for a few days, and you can see it was a support level for all of one day. Then we broke down, and then all hell broke loose, yada, yada, yada. So if you guys want a good level for both the SPY, I would say, and the NASDAQ, I want you guys to keep track of this. But in reality, it almost seems like these are the ones people have to look for. They're just so far out that people aren't going to be thinking about 2024 or 2025. And why should they? We're still in kind of this crisis moment where we just had a death cross here between the 20-week and 200-week. And usually that leads to some really bad stuff as far as the markets are concerned, right? And we haven't even had the 50-week yet. But we found a short-term bottom, everybody. There's still an opportunity for us to break out, and that still goes for the SPY. If we go right here, you can see another opportunity for breakout, but you can see it's just a lot easier for the SPY. A very nice trend line there, okay? Now, one other thing, there's a lot of other coins out there like Ethereum Classic or Dogecoin that have had these really nice pops, and they're getting rejected off of just some basic technicals like 50-week moving averages, stuff like that. Nothing too concerning, but since they're getting rejected a little bit on the weekly chart, there's still an opportunity as the week goes on for us to just break out above them. So for Dogecoin, we have Ethereum Classic, we have an opportunity to get up to $26 this week if we get lucky. And as far as Dogecoin's concerned, we have an opportunity to get back up towards 11 cents this week if we can just break out above this 50-week moving average, which hasn't been difficult over the past few months, right? It's been difficult before then, but, it's not that time. It's not It's not December of 2021 anymore. We're all the way in 2023. We have had a bottom for a while now, and maybe there's an opportunity for a short-term reversal here. We're still seeing more news about layoffs. Microsoft is laying off more employees. But guys, we're in an okay spot. Be careful because we have pumped up a lot. When we do pump up a lot like this, we tend to just have a major reversal on the following week. Not this week, because this week's all about going sideways. The following week we come back down. If we don't fall back down, though, next week it's really going to be an opportunity, along with this week, to test out those resistances and see if we can manage to break out. We'll need some good news, but again, it's the 17th. In a couple weeks, we have Fed data coming out as far as interest rate hikes, stuff like that. We have some time to really cause a breakout before that bad news comes, and if we can do that, we'll be in a lot better position. Thanks, everybody, and have a great rest of your day.